Okay, so we're going to just start
Well,
with your wedding.
Well,
And your
before
life changed after you got married, so we'll start.
Yeah, I was
Describe maybe your wedding and.
gonna say before that, your dad went to Denver to start school,
Oh, okay.
and he got off, so we had to get married when he was not in school. And on Friday night, which my father apparently didn't like that idea, but it worked out. And so we had a beautiful wedding, it really was, in Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in San Diego, March the 8th at 8 o'clock Friday night. I was always thinking that was a strange time, but we had friends that came from Orange, the Higgins that owned a big furniture store back there. And I don't know if they spent the night down there or not. They were people that had come from Colorado. In fact, my grandmother had been the wet nurse to help birth the children in that family. But anyway, your dad got back in Friday night, and Saturday morning we walked over to the church to talk to the pastor. That was the first introduction to Pastor Kibler, and we got married. Well, that night we had a one bathroom house. Hugh's family, we cooked. I got up in the morning, made cakes, upside down cakes and things.
Wait a minute, you're making cake on your.
Yes, and we had dinner for everybody that afternoon. I don't know what time, probably 4 or 5. And trying to get into the bathroom to get my wedding gown on wasn't easy. And anyhow, we had people scattered every place. They stayed at Henry and Bernice's. They stayed at our house. They stayed up in my mother's apartment upstairs that she had built. But it was a great wedding. Unlike the weddings of today, we went right next door to the social hall where we had wedding cake and punch and ice cream. Well, that was a story too. My dad was supposed to pick up the ice cream, and the place was closed when he got there, so he had to call through a window to get it. But he got it. So we got married, and you know, in those days, people like to chase the newlyweds and bedevil them. So I had made arrangements for us to go to La Jolla, which nobody figured out. They thought it'd go to the Grant or the El Cortez or something. So we went to La Jolla. What's the name of the Jolla?
La Jolla Inn? I don't know, something like that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we were there. And they didn't find us. And then on Saturday night, we did meet my brother and his wife, Ruth, whom I loved, to have dinner with them. And I wore my going away suit, which was really nice. Oh, I had a pink feathered hat and this aqua suit, and your father, at my request, had bought me these fur pieces to wear, and that was very stylish then. And so I was all dressed to the T's. We had our dinner, and then the next morning we went down to San Diego Airport to take off for Denver. Well, we stopped in Arizona, I guess. It was a DC-3 because I think that's all they had then.
Yeah.
And we got to Denver, and Hugh took me to the rooming house where all the men stayed when they were in school, which was unusual. But I got out the next day and took my marriage license, and I had all got dolled up to walk around and find a hotel. And I did find one, and it was good. It was $1.75 per person a night, and if you wanted meals, it would be $2.20 per person. Well, we ate there, and they had great meals.
Wow.
We didn't have a bathroom in the room. You had to walk down the hall, but it was close to my aunt's house and apartment in it, so that was good. Then we got orders to go to Chicago. Of course, I thought we should go to LA, but that was the way it was. And we went to Chicago, and we couldn't have housing there either because he wasn't an Illinois veteran, so we were out of luck on that. But we rented a room from this family called Andersons that were near the old airport. It was the new airport then. And they were okay, but they had to go through our room to go every place too. And they had a big shepherd dog. And that dog, the reason I think they rented the room to us is because they wanted to go away and we would babysit the dog. Uh-huh. And they had lost a son in the war, and they were very upset about a lot of things. Yeah. But I had never been in a place by myself to sleep overnight. So the dog would run to the room with a window, and I would too. As soon as the sun came up, I could go to sleep. And so we were there for a while, and then we drove out. And your dad had this, I guess it was a 41 Ford he bought when he came back. And we drove out to this beautiful little village, Hinsdale. Well, we knew nothing about it, but we drove around and we saw a house that was vacant and talked to one of the neighbors, and he said, who owned it? So your father went over and talked to those people, left them our phone number where we lived with the Andersons. I guess he talked to the mother of the house. And she called back and said, that was such a nice young man. I think you'd like to rent the house to them. So they rented this house. We paid $60 a month, which was okay, but we had to buy coal, and we had a furnace in the basement that I learned to stoke. So we had no thermostat. Yeah, it'd get so hot in the house you could hardly stand it. But it was so nice, beautiful little village. At that time, it was the richest place. It had 6 millionaires and 6,000 people. Oh, wow. And so that was super. And our landlord, they were the sweetest people. Peggy was born there at Hinsdale Sanitarium. And she was born in the middle of summer, and that was hot, no air conditioning in any of those places. But I was I think the 9th day, you got to dangle your feet over the bed, so by the time you went home, you could hardly walk.
Oh, so back in those days, they kept you in the hospital long?
Oh, yeah, 10 days or 2 weeks.
Oh, that's unheard of today.
Well, Peg Richards came home in an ambulance. Anyway, we had such nice people, and they needed their house back. So they were making arrangements with his brother, and we even bought a piece of property to have another house built for us. As it turns out, we got orders to go to New York. But those Ballmans, they were such nice people. And of course, they're gone now too. We enjoyed our stay with them. And we belonged to Zion Lutheran Church there, and Peggy was baptized there, and they were her godparents. So we go to New York, and another room we live in. I had a baby, Peggy. Yeah. And we lived in a room near LaGuardia, I guess. And that was a strange place too. This woman she was a snoop. She rent out to people, and then she'd go, especially airline people. They owned apartments, I guess, into their apartments while they were gone. And I was out walking my baby. She wanted me to go. I said, I don't go into somebody else's apartment. No. Well, anyway, we were driving around on Long Island and went to Baldwin, and we bought a house that is the cutest little house, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. I know it was $13,000.
Oh, I didn't know. You bought that. I didn't know that. Okay.
And we had good neighbors there too. We had the Seidel's on one side and the Courts on the other side.
Oh, that's how the connection was. Okay.
Yeah. And we enjoyed living there too, but we still had this feeling we wanted to get back to California. So we sold the house to a nice couple with a daughter named Nancy, and moved back. Well, at the time, we didn't know where we were going to settle. We rented a place in Wilmington, which was a housing tract some man had built. Very good for people, but people don't appreciate things sometimes.
And that was pretty close to LAX, right? It was.
Well, that's where your
close,
down
yeah.
was fine, yeah. And we bought property in Palos Verdes.
Wow.
We bought a nice big lot, and after it was all said and done when we left, they divided it in two.
That was a lot.
But it was, I think, what did we pay for it? $2,500, and we sold it for $5,000. Thought we made a killing.
Well, you did back then. I mean, you doubled your money.
And so but about 19. I forgot to say, when we were in Baldwin, my first son Buddy was born,
Ah, that's a,
and our neighbors, the Seidells, were his godparents. No, they weren't. That's not right.
okay.
They were David's godparents. But you were baptized in San Diego when I came home, and I had Robbie when we moved came back to California, 1951. He was born at Mercy Hospital.
Right.
So you were both baptized at Good Shepherd.
Oh, okay.
And then we moved back to New York again, and this time we went to, what was the house?
That was at Levittown?
Levittown. We had rented a house there. And that was okay. And then we were shopping around looking for a place. And we found a place in Wilmington. Not Wilmington. Massapequa. Gosh, I'm getting old.
There's a lot of changes that were
Wilmington, which was not bad. Our house there cost $17,000 because we put a fireplace in and more electric. The others were 16 or 15 something. But anyway, we stayed there for 19 years. We moved there in 1953, and out in 1970. 54 and 73. That's it.
73, yeah.
When we moved back to California, and we moved to Fallbrook. Now, my friend Catherine, who I'd grown up with, we were confirmed together, and Peggy was a flower girl at her wedding. Had property around there, and she thought that was the place. She had friends there, and we really liked it. It was wonderful for Hugh. He was born on a farm, and liked the idea of having property. We had 3.5 acres, which they planted 300 avocado trees and every fruit tree anybody could mention. And he had, not only that, they had a airport, a little air park. It was called Fallbrook Air Park. And we got a 182 and enjoyed flying around. And he taught flying and instrument after he retired at age 60. He had to retire then. I think now it's 65. I think they're trying to even make it higher.
Yeah. Let's take a little break. We're going to take a break.
Okay.